So as you know, the crown chakra is the energy center that connects us to our belief system. And one of the reasons that I wanted to chat to you about it is because you've created a wonderful life for yourself. And I'm inspired by the way you combine your passion with your work. Now, were there any obstacles that you had to overcome in order to do this?
Look, I think self-work, working on yourself is a lifelong process. It really is. But I was always very interested in it from a young age. So at the age of 23, when I was in Australia, I did Brandon Bay's The Journey. And that sort of was just, at that stage, 20 years ago, it was just such a profound work, to do. And so I've always been a reader, and I've always been open to healing. But yeah, I think, there are always blocks in life. I think for me, probably one of the biggest blocks is just learning to be more vulnerable.
Yes, a big thing. I love that you said that. Tell us more. Yes, yes.
Look, it's funny. I was talking to a girlfriend about it last night, and I was saying to her, it's so interesting because when you seem like you've got your shit together, can I use the word shit?
Oh,
good,
totally.
We're adults. Okay,
totally.
Good. When you've got your shit together, or you seem that you've got your shit together, which I do. I mean, I'm very, very happy with the way that I've kind of created my life, and I say, the cake that I've baked for myself, because you put your own ingredients in. There's always going to be things that are little weakness points or little things that you've got to kind of move past.
You're only as balanced as your last trigger. We were talking about that before, weren't we? Yep.
Exactly. And, I was just saying to her the other day, I said, you know what? No one ever asks me if I'm okay. Like, no one ever asks me, ever, if I'm okay. None of my friends ever phone and go, are you? I'm always phoning going, how are you? Do you need to talk? Because it's the work that I do. And I think that's why I probably terrify men, because they don't think they can give me anything because there's not that vulnerability side, but there actually is.
I hear more than I care to admit. And it's the persona that you project as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it's funny, at the end of the day, it takes time to, you're not going to show your vulnerabilities to just every single person. And life is good, and I do love what I do, and I'm very happy. But,
we're very good at it as well.
We all need support, and we all need someone to put their arms around us and say, are you okay? Or if you're having a bad day, just having that person that you want to connect and share with. But unfortunately, my biggest fault is that when you work in a service industry and your thing that you love to do is to give and to love and to help other people, people sometimes forget that it's a two-way street.
Yeah, just because you are of service doesn't mean that you are a servant, right?
True, 100%,
yeah.
100%. So that's just something that, is an ongoing thing that I need to, which is why I love going home. I go back to Noosa I go and stay with my folks, and it's so cool. They cook for me, and they, everything, the bed's made up, and there's flowers, and, and I revert back to being a child, and for that very small amount of time, I have someone who genuinely is caring for me, and I get filled up and nurtured and loved, and then shipped back to the big smoke.
Yeah.
So,
this is beautiful. What you said about vulnerability is very powerful, because I actually think it's a very poignant and very powerful place to manifest. Why? Because when you're vulnerable, you are vibrating with the essence of the truth of what you need. You don't have time for bullshit.
No.
You can't be bothered lying. Yeah. No. Yeah. So it's a powerful place to manifest, because you're coming from a place of pure, unadulterated truth. Yeah. So as you know from the e-course, the energy around our crown is synonymous with our spiritual connection. And our spirituality is so unique and so individual, whether we are religious, whether we are a surfer, whether we practice yoga, whether we meditate, whether we do none of the above but garden every day. There's something that connects us to a source and our inspiration, and I want to say our divinity. And I want to talk about that with you because I think you're divine and I think you have access to your spirit in a way that not many people do, especially with the space that you hold. Now, is there anything that stops you from accessing this gift? And what do you do about it if that's the case?
Look, I think there's nothing really that stops me from accessing it other than the time restrictions. That, you know, I make excuses that I'm time poor, so I sort of don't.
You're too busy?
Too busy, yeah. So, you know, I find that it's so much stronger and I can tap into that strength so much better if I have balance. You know, I have time for myself, I have time for the business, and I have time for my friends and family.
Tell us more about that so that you don't get too busy, that you get disconnected from your source.
Well, that's, for me, it's actually become more and more important, you know, for my friends that have known me for many, many years. I do have a tendency to be a workaholic. Because I love what I do, so it never feels like work, you know. And I've had to set up boundaries because, you know, I have mothers phoning me at 10:30 on a Friday night when I've got a whiskey in my hand, wanting to know if they can chat about their daughter. So it's just setting up boundaries as well, which is really important. And going, you know what, it's Friday night, and this is now time for me. This is my space. So
that's the theory about boundaries. How do you practically do it?
You know what, I now have started to not answer calls. So if I get any text messages or calls that are from after 5 p.m. on a Friday night, unless it's someone really, really important like a sponsor, I won't answer those until 9 o'clock on Monday because those are business hours, and I need Saturdays and Sundays to heal and to spend time, and to fill up. So I can't be on all the time. It's just,
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it's not. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think we forget that there was a time where we didn't have telephones on the ready. And there was a time when you just had to leave a message and just wait. Wait for someone to return your call at the appropriate time. But we're so like this now. And it's someone hasn't texted us back within an hour. We resent them. We're on Facebook checking when they were last in. I mean, that's the thought process. I've had people say to me, I sent you a message on Facebook and I saw that you were on an hour ago.
Wow.
Everyone needs to just breathe a little bit more and put their life into a few separate boxes, I think.
You're right. We actually, when we caught up for breakfast the other day, we were talking about this because you said with, you know, your personal Facebook page, are your students on it? And I said, yeah, I had to make a decision years ago that if I was going to accept one friend request, I was going to have to accept others. But I also make it clear if someone does send me a message, I'll be sure to answer it during business hours, and I'll be sure to say, hey, if it's you trying to book in a session or ask for a workshop, please send me an email. Please don't do it over Facebook. Little practical boundaries as well.
Absolutely. And it's important because you're better to them. You're going to serve them better if you're in a headspace where you actually feel that you've had your time and your peace and quiet and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've replenished your energy.